broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Mary Jane! You weren't ready for that, were you?
No.
Were you? He was not ready for
But
that.
I am glad it happened.
Yes. Welcome back, everyone, to AfterBuzz TV's Being Mary Jane. I am your host, Ashley Gray, and joined with me is my lovely co-host, Tiona Hobson.
Hello, everyone.
And guess what, guys? We have a very special guest today, Julian Acosta, better known as Gail on Being Mary Jane. Welcome.
Thank you.
Round of applause. A round of applause. I am so excited to interview you. We got a little bit before the interview, and I'm excited for you to share everything that we talked about with your fans. Let's first talk about Lisa and Gail.
What would you like to know?
Everything. We want to know the chemistry on and off the set. We want to know everything.
I also want to call Ashley out.
What did I do?
For when we first met Gail, saying you might be a stalker.
Well, I said a lot of things about Gail.
I was just going to say the stalker.
You know what?
But I will say she took it back very quickly in the next episode. It was,
Good.
We don't know you, and you coming at Lisa, her name, at Cara, and we're like, wait, hold up, who is this guy? So now you can.
Very possessive over that.
I know, and you know what? It's so funny because, and I know that I did say Lisa. We really feel like these are our best friends. I'm like, yeah, let's talk about Lisa and Gail. Do you mean Kara and Gail?
Yes.
Sorry, guys. So let's get into Kara and Gail and their chemistry. It seems pretty organic, meaning that you guys on screen, I can see it happening, and I definitely can tell that you are attracted to her and you want to pursue her. Mm-hmm. Was it hard for you to get in that mindset?
Have you seen Lisa Vidal?
I'll take that as a no.
No, it wasn't. But you're right. Gail is extremely attracted to Kara for many different reasons. Obviously, she's a very beautiful woman, mm-hmm. And I do really love the way their relationship unfolds. You know, it's adult, and it was important to me. And one of the things that I loved about how the show is written and this character is written and this relationship is written is that you get to see this man pursue this woman in kind of a different way.
Definitely.
It's not necessarily guns a-blazing, let me just, get your pants off, mm-hmm. kind of a pursuit. And I find that very, very, very interesting from an acting point of view and a character development point of view.
So when you read the script and you read your parts, did you find yourself in that character? Are you more so the guy who is slow to pursue, or are you kind of like David or Sheldon or Cuddy Buddy?
I think every guy has all of those in him. But there was something about the writing that spoke to me in the sense of going after a woman in this kind of more of a mature way, more of an intelligent way, a mm-hmm. patient way, an understanding way, rather than a way of, I need to possess you in order for you to now become what I want you to be to satisfy what it is that I'm missing in my life, kind of a thing. I think part of what I find interesting is that they've had lives before mm-hmm. each other.
Love that. I love that.
And I love that he calls her out on, everything that she's doing wrong. He's not letting her take the easy way out and, show up late to a date and not call ahead. And, he's angry and he's visibly that way.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I loved the most was the fact that these people are written in ways that forces an audience, I imagine, but just as an actor, it's refreshing to, hey, that's not okay. And to, say what you mean what you say, just don't say it mean.
Love it.
And that's a very, very attractive quality to me about their relationship. And I think it kind of throws Kara off balance. And I think that's something that, at least from my point of view, that she'd been missing.
Yeah. So I will admit that when I was first introduced to Gael, I thought it was a little bit creepy. Yeah. Now, reading this, did you think that Gael was a little bit eccentric, or did you kind of like him?
I kind of like him. I tend to. Here's the thing. You weren't imagining that, because I'm kind of an eccentric person by nature, and I kind of was interested in bringing that to him, because you don't know a lot about him when you first meet him.
So mysterious.
So I wanted to make sure that he came, when you first met him, you were like, oh, whoa.
See, I want to go on record and say to everyone, I was not being unrealistic here, okay? I have him admitting, Gael was meant to be a little bit mysterious at first, borderline creepy, borderline stalkerish. Just wanted to put that out there.
It was, when you, in the context of this show, it was almost as if you hadn't seen a person like him before. He came on and it wasn't instant, chemistry. It wasn't, the chemistry was there, but it was a different kind of chemistry. And so I think that was surprising. And it made a lot of people go, whoa, what's going on? And as you said, you've already spent all this time and invested a lot emotionally in these characters. The usual reaction is to become very protective over them.
Yeah.
So.
I think, I was going to say, one of my biggest things is just, we saw Kara go through so much with her ex-husband and her kids. And so, we're over here like, she is our baby too, and we have to protect her with the next relationship. And I know we were throwing out theories like, what if he's not who he says he is? And, he's stalking her or something. But what did you find was the fan reaction to Gael coming into the scene with Kara?
I think a lot of people were, it's about time. A lot of people, some people had a very similar reaction as far as being protective, like, well, wait, what is this? What's going on? And a lot of it was finally, and then as it progressed, it seemed to be, you better give him a chance. You better, he's good for you, or whatever that's about.
Whatever that gesture is.
Whatever that's about.
Yeah. So, although Gael's character is very offbeat, there were times where I fell in love with Gael. I was like, okay, guys, this week I love Gael. He is my favorite. I am obsessed. And then the following week, I'm like, he's a killer, guys. Something's wrong. I think he might kill her in her sleep. I really love that offbeat quality about Gael, and I really feel that he adds an element to being Mary Jane that you talked about. Is kind of that mysterious guy who doesn't necessarily pursue in the way that we see other characters pursuing, and I find it very refreshing. I do.
Oh, thank you.
I'm feeling Gael a little bit more.
Yeah, I think, we both went through like a sort of...
We did.
The circle of emotions that it sounds like the fans went through of like, who are you? What do you want with her? Oh, get away from her. Wait, Kara, you're acting crazy. Like, that is a good man over there. You see a good man and you keep him and you treat him right. And then it kind of, I kind of got mad at her a little bit. And then, the dynamics definitely shifted. And that's one of the things I loved about these two characters coming together, is that it brought out so much more emotion, and we got to know, I feel like because she got to know Gael, that's why we got to go meet her family. Because there was that sort of distinction with her culture that she was kind of lacking the attentiveness too that you kind of brought back to her when she was like, oh, I don't speak, Spanish. Like, you can talk to me in English. And you're like, well, I mean, that's your choice. But, culture is culture, and it's great to be connected to it.
Right. I think it's interesting. You can't, what you talked about, you said, well, you're being crazy, Kara. And to me, that was really, really important, was there was no way that coming into this, I was going to try to meet Kara's character's energy, because she's very energetic, very passionate, very all over the place. And to me, the trap was to try to somehow match that or supersede it or try to capture it and limit it in any way. It was actually to just do the opposite of that, to just sit back and say, oh, really? Because you can't, and I don't want to call it crazy. It's just her life experience and where she's at.
Spirited.
You can't battle that, and you can't reason with it other than just to have the person see it for themselves. And you try to create those moments where, and they, instead of you telling them, they're able to kind of see it for themselves.
And that's that realistic experience that I can appreciate about the relationship between your character and Kara, because when in real life, when you do have those really bubbly, spirited, or colorful people like myself, you kind of need a balance. Like, you don't need two crazy folk in a relationship. So I do appreciate that. And most of the time you kind of need that balance, and you guys are like polar opposites. And I'm really interested to know how you felt personally about the character Kara not really wanting to be in touch with her culture and not wanting to speak Spanish, because your background, you actually mentioned that Spanish, I believe, is your first language. So tell me how you felt reading that.
I was like you said, I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. I lived there till I was 15 years old before I moved to the United States, and that aspect of the character is yet another kind of layer to always something that I always wondered, in as much as people not necessarily run away from, but forget or diminish or aren't comfortable within part of their cultural backgrounds. And I wanted to play it in a way that wasn't, oh, you have to be this because but just, have you ever asked yourself why? And why you're doing that? Like because it's a valid question. And when you ask someone that in that way, how are they going to get mad at you? Do you know what I mean? Because you're not beating them with a hammer over the head with it, and it was kind of a romantic pursuit coming from acceptance. You talked about yourself being very bubbly, which is obvious, and whoever's going to hang out with you, from my point of view, better just accept that 100% and not try to turn the volume down on it in any way.
I agree, yeah.
Because it's just not gonna happen, or be good.
Yeah. And I love that you said that he didn't do it in a negative way towards her, because I know in some personal experience, and I'm sure my girl Ashley has had this too, you get told that you sound too white or too this way or whatever, and so every time someone's come at me with that, I feel like I'm being attacked, and I didn't feel that Gael was attacking Kara with his questioning of her and like the connection with her culture. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about this show, and the dialogue that it opens up, and the script writing and everything, is that this is a conversation you can have that's not, he's not being derogative to her in any way or trying to diminish the person she is. He's just asking a point blank question of, have you ever really thought about the reasons you feel the way you feel about your culture?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I know I keep saying that I love these different takes that Mara has written into the script, but sometimes people do lose themselves and their culture in this career and in this world. And I feel like Gael kind of helped Kara let's bring it home, honey. Let's get back into your roots. And I feel like the world needed to see that, because it's so rich and it's so beautiful, and it needs to be celebrated. And so I love that about Gael's character and how he pulls that out of Kara. I do want to mention, we talked a little about your niece's reaction to being Mary Jane, so I'll just pose the question.
Yes.
How did you feel when you got the script, or when you got the call inviting you to be on Mary Jane?
I was thrilled, but I was surprised and more thrilled because I didn't know a lot about the show. I had seen the movie. The original 2 hour, but I hadn't seen the series. And I spoke to my niece on the telephone. I told her, I just went in for this for being Mary Jane, and it was a movie, and I think I'm going to do it. And she was like, "Oh my God, you don't understand. That's my favorite show." But let me tell you, like, Mary Jane, she's a hot mess. But Kara is a mess. She's not a hot mess. She's just a mess. She needs a man. And I was like, oh, well, my guess what? God. I'll be that man. So she broke down the entire thing and why. And one of the things I love is that she was surprisingly accurate and layered in her description of this show that I had no idea.
Well, we need to get her on this show, because obviously her breakdowns are
on point.
Yeah, it's an additive to this show, so we need to get her on. I love that reaction. Now, you've been in a ton of things, and as well as you did some theater. How does it feel being a part of a predominantly Black cast, and it's on a Black network? How does it feel just being in that kind of environment?
It feels great. It feels like being right at home,
So you didn't have any hesitancy going in, I need to act a certain way, or I need to get some rap lyrics down, or because some people act like that. They do. Tiona.
Wow.
I know. And
really?
I know that Ashley is going to be the one to ask the tough questions here at AfterBuzz.
I'm just saying, some people do act a certain way, act how they feel like they need to act around Black people. I want to know how you felt going into it.
I felt great. I felt very comfortable. To be honest, I didn't even think about it.
Good. And that's how it should be.
It's for me, growing up in Puerto Rico, half my family looks like me, half looks like you. We're all. It's really, really, really integrated in that way. And so it was never. It just wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
And I love the whole experience. This show, and I've told this to a lot of people, I don't know if it's the city of Atlanta, I don't know if it's the people involved in the show, but it is the way you were treated, the everything about it is just better in a lot of ways. And that was my actual experience, but I didn't have any real expectation, one way or another because of it was BET or predominantly African American or anything like that. I was more worried about the work, because usually that's what it's not usually, that's the only thing it's really about.
Definitely.
So
where do you see Gael and Kara's relationship going? Spoilers. Are they gonna get married?
Well, I don't know. Pregnant? You're gonna have to tune into season 3.
Well,
we keep getting told that today.
I know.
We had Twinkie in here earlier, and she told us the same thing.
You're gonna have to tune in.
I need you guys to be like, "Oops, I accidentally split."
Oh, what was that?
Like, no, I want to keep my job.
Are they gonna move in together? Are they gonna get married? Are there going to be a baby? Anything like that?
One of the things you guys know so far about this show is that it's never as simple as that. It always, one of the geniuses of this show and Mara and Salim is that they just, okay, what if we did something completely that's not that? And maybe it'll be that.
Oh my god. So we get no spoilers. So outside of being Mary Jane, what's going on with you?
Well, let's see. I just got married in June.
Congratulations. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
I did not do my research because I would have brought some wine, vanilla pudding, you know.
Let me tell you, we got married in Puerto Rico on a small island called Culebra, right off the coast of Puerto Rico, actually, where everything had to go by ferry boat. And so I go to Puerto Rico for the last few days of planning our wedding. In between, I flew back to Atlanta to shoot our first love scene with Kara.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, for a second I was like, did that air? Yes.
Yes.
And then go back, and 3 days later I got married.
What did your wife think about that?
She laughed, that kind of uncomfortable laughter. Yeah, exactly like that. That kind of laughter. But you know, she's a director, television director.
Did she watch the scene?
Yeah, she did.
Did you guys watch it together?
No, we did not.
Could you imagine?
No.
I don't think I'd be. It's like watching a sex scene with your parents. It's just uncomfortable for everyone, and you don't do it. Word to the wise: don't go see Top 5 with your parents and your grandma, because it gets real uncomfortable real quick.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
But could you imagine? No, I would. If I was you, I wouldn't have watched it with her.
Yeah, it's just no need. Let's see, I just did, in the fall, I did an episode of Grimm. I just worked on a new show called Proof with Jennifer Beals and Matthew Modine. We're shooting season 2 of another show. It's called Hand of God. It's on Amazon with Ron Perlman and Dana Delaney. There's a lot going on. You know, it's just it's a good time.
It really is. And I am so excited about your character, Gail. And hopefully, you know, they get married, have some babies, so that we can see you on season 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you kill Kara and the kids.
What? I was smiling.
I was right.
These are like, I knew it from the beginning. I knew it. No,
and then we're all going to come back to this interview where you were like, I like Gail. He's not crazy.
He's not crazy.
He's great. You had me until you went to the murder spree, but
I love, you know what, your character, and I think that I mentioned this previously, your character reminds me of like Johnny Depp. It's like, it's just so mysterious, and it's just that, it's just very, it's attractive, and I don't know why. It's just crazy. I don't know what it is. We all love Johnny. Come on, he's a psycho though. I think he is. Gail, your character is a little offbeat, but I love it. It's something about
That
it.
is such a great compliment.
You know what? I tried to make it as positive as possible.
It is. You didn't have to. That was a great compliment.
You are such a compliment to the show. I love you with Kara's character, and you've pulled her out of her comfort zone, and you've pushed her into her culture, and we've met her family, and I don't think without you we wouldn't have got to see all of the many layers of character of Kara's character. Lord
there you go.
Jesus.
I'm helping you out.
Thank you, Tiona.
Kara's character.
But yeah, you're awesome. Like, absolutely awesome. So where can all of your fans find you on social media?
At Get Julian Acosta. Everything's there.
Everything. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. There you have it, folks. Boom. Tiona, where can everyone find you?
I am at the Tiona Hobson on Facebook. No, not Facebook. Why do I always say Facebook? On Twitter and Instagram and Periscope. That's the new thing that all the kids are doing these days.
Hear.
It's a lot of fun.
Isn't that like video or
that's
something?
Like a live stream.
Oh my god!
You know what? I want to say something really quick.
I don't understand.
You are really funny. Like, seriously, he's hilarious. I would love to, like, see that side of Gail and being Mary Jane.
I think we'll get to see a more playful side of him once him and Kara get more comfortable, and Kara introduces him to Mary Jane, and, you know, it'll be nice.
I'm excited. Well, they met. Him and Mary Jane met before.
Well, briefly. But they got to go out, you know. They got to go
party,
be friends.
drink.
I have to ask her some questions.
Yeah. And I'm sure she's got some questions for you, too.
Really? See, that was the guy. That was Gail right there. I had to ask her some questions, and then he gave me that eye, like, in that letter. I love it. I'm obsessed. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Ashley Gray TV, and we won't see you next week. We'll see you next year. Being Mary Jane 2016.
Season
Bye, guys.
3.
I'm sad.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.